Hello, everyone. This is Sheree, founder and editor-in-chief of Curls in the Hood, and we're back with our first March convo with the Anne-Marie Payne Lewis. Woo woo!
So excited.
This is her first contribution to the Curls in the Hood family, will not be her last. Anne-Marie is an executive director at Morgan Stanley. She is an avid reader, a music connoisseur, a power lifter, okay, budding painter, proud Grenadian.
To the bone, to the bone.
To the bone, right?
Bone.
Mom and wife to a fabulous Caribbean man. And yes, did I miss anything, Annie? Did I get
No,
you?
you got it. You got it all. It actually makes me sound exciting. I'm like, this is
You are very
amazing.
exciting. And that's why I started with my journalism glasses on.
I love it.
Annie's contribution, I never like to assume that people read the article, right? Because we know some people's platform of choice is going to be audio, visual versus reading. We want the people to read. We want you niggas to read. But if you don't, we're here. So Annie's article, Flourish Superhighway, details her ability to, what I said on TikTok, I was like, she doing it and doing it and doing it well. Like you are I can have everything. And it may not all be at the same time, but you're a master class in being extremely professionally successful. Having a husband that loves you and all your friends love him, right?
They like him.
Like your two babies who are like well-adjusted and cool kids, like cool Brooklyn kids. And so we're gonna get into the nitty-gritties of that. I'm pulling up my notes now. Don't be scared of the notes. It just, it keeps us.
I love it. I'm here for it. I love a woman on top of things.
Okay, so I'm going to kind of take you through what we're going to start with. We're going to do career and personal growth, how you juggle priorities, community impact, how you navigate challenges, self-care and hobbies, your support systems, achievements and reflection, mentorship, and then future aspirations. Okay, just to kind of get
minutes. Let's go. I'm ready.
Listen, we outside. Okay, so Anne-Marie Lewis. I can't even take myself seriously. As a successful professional, how has your career experiences shaped your personal growth? And how do you ensure your friends and family remain integral to that journey?
This is the question we started with. Okay, I'm fine. All right. So I've been on Wall Street a really long time, and I say that because it's very specific. So fat shout out to everyone who has been able to jump around, but I've been in financial services forever. And I would say there are three main things that my career has taught me. So the first is, one, don't take anything personally. Feedback is just that. It's feedback about what you're doing. It's feedback to make you be better. But this is not a personal attack on you unless that is a situation you're dealing with. But that actually has been like one of my standing practices. The second thing is I don't look right and I don't look left. I don't care what anybody else is doing. Actually, I'm in competition with myself. And that has been very fun to discover over the past 15 years plus, because it allows me to recognize the things that I like that other people do, and I can account it to be in my own thing, right? So I can put an Anne-Marie spin on anything.
Right.
But also, like, if I'm not comparing myself, I can just take what I like and move forward.
Yes.
And I would say the third piece is mentorship is key. And sometimes people miss the idea of mentorship. Like, it doesn't necessarily have to be this like super close, like we're loving each other bond. It literally can be like, hey, I have a problem, or I need some advisement, or are you willing to talk to me about different things like that? So those are three things. And like the way that I keep my family and my friends integrated in that is really, one, like helping them figure out their journeys, but not actually taking the reins. So I'll give you for instance, my siblings are super successful. Fat shout out to our parents. And I'm the youngest per my article, but I hold a specific skill set that everyone finds very integral to their day to day. So they'll call me and be like, "You're good at fluff. Help me fix it."
Right.
Or what are some things I should be doing to make this softer? Because I see how you interact with clients and people and things like that. And it doesn't even have to be around work. It could just be around people. So I think those are the things that I've learned and that I've kind of like really adapted into my real life.
I love that. And I think too, just for the audience, you and I are the same age, have a pretty similar professional journey, even though we're in two different industries. And I think, we'll get to mentorship later because you and I've had this conversation privately about how so much sometimes of our journey goes unmentored, and then what that looks
Yeah.
like when now you're in a position to potentially be a mentor. Yeah, right. We have mentors and mentees, throughout this journey, but I'm really excited to get to that piece of it because I think there's a wealth of knowledge on this call right now, just in that area, because I know, and I expressed to you, I felt like when I crossed a certain threshold, right,
Yes.
that
Yes.
I was very much, I had to have that tunnel vision as well. I could not focus on what anyone was doing because there was no one that looked like me doing what I was doing. And that
Exactly.
as quickly as we had done it, because at our ages that, hitting director and being on the executive leadership team, you really
Yes.
have to outwork everybody.
Literally.
Like you
But the
have
expectation is that you do
Mhm.
work well, right? That's the part. Like people miss that when you reach executive levels, it's already understood that you're good. We
Right.
know your work is good. Now razzle dazzle us with the other stuff.
Yes,
And
soft skills. And so many folks don't, we're raised, and I'll say this, that, I always joke that it's like how Black folks are raised to not date, and then all of a sudden your parents want kids and a husband.
yes,
It's like
yes,
you didn't let me talk to
yes.
boys, and now I'm supposed to. But it's
Now
the
I'm supposed
same,
to be like, yeah, I'm popping out a baby in 2 years. Like,
right? But
what?
it's the same
That work.
professionally. Your parents are telling you, or the community is like, don't make no friends. Those not your friends. Go home. Do the,
Work
and we
hard.
know that those soft skills are what get you promoted. Those soft skills are what keeps you in rooms. Those soft
Yep.
skills are why, your name is brought up. Oh, I think Anne Marie's good for that project. I think
Exactly.
that Anne Marie needs to take that trip, So
Right.
100%. Okay, we're gonna move on to juggling priorities. Can you share some practical strategies or routine so you've developed to effectively juggle the demands of being a high-powered career woman with your commitments to family, friends, and your personal interests?
Yes, it's not as so I want to just say out loud, it took 6 years to figure this out.
Mhm.
So for whoever's out in the stratosphere ingesting and like at the edge of your seat, and maybe you're not, but I want you to know what I lay out is something that I had to really condition myself to. So I am by nature a very early riser. Like, and that's just the nature of who I am. I've always been a morning person. And so I had to optimize what was the best part of my day to do the things that I wanted to accomplish. So I get up freakishly early. I get up at 3:45 Monday to Friday.
Well,
I wake up in the middle of the night. I own it.
but
I
you
do.
utilize it though.
Yeah. So but that block of time before I wake my kids up, before my husband rises, before anyone can call, text, email is my time. So that's when I exercise. That's when I practice mindfulness. Like I have to take care of my star player first, and I am my priority. I'm my first priority when I wake up, and I am my last priority when I go to bed. So I just have to say that out loud. Now, the other parts are pretty straightforward. Like in my personal life, I only make 3 items on my to-do list a daily activity. The reason for that is because anything past 3, you're overwhelmed.
And it's unrealistic. And it's not,
You're
I
not
always,
real.
I always tell my team, if everything is a priority, nothing's a priority. So if you can't
Right.
name me 3 things, then none of this shit matters for
Right.
real.
And no,
Like,
literally. And so, but I do it specifically for my personal life because I think when you do a job where your primary focus is sitting in meetings and answering emails, you kind of trick yourself into being like, I can make those appointments, I can do this, I can do that. And it really is a trick, right? So that's why I had to learn that. It was like you have 3 big rocks. that you can tackle in your day that regards your personal life. On the work side, honestly, it is however the calendar drives itself. And
Yeah.
I say that to say because my calendar management system is actually very interesting. So for any month, I have 3 weeks that are completely open, meaning I'll take the coffees, I'll take the lunches, I'll take the dinners, I'll take the client conversations, I'll see friends, I'll do all the things. And then there is 1 week where there is none of that. And the rationale there is that 1 week allows me to, one, recharge my social battery because I have to be very people facing. But then two, it allows me to really prioritize for the next month. And that's really the idea. Now, that calendar management system doesn't work for everybody. And I have to say that. And it takes a lot of like
Discipline.
discipline
Mhm.
to kind of get into that rhythm, but it works. And the reason it works is because, let's say, like for instance, this week on Thursday, my son has a performance at his school, which I'm showing up for. Bop, bop, bop. Really excited. He's presenting on Harry Belafonte,
Amazing.
and I have to close Thursday down. But guess what? Everybody's like, "Oh, we get it. Close it down." Like, yes, you can't go to that client thing. Yes, you can't do this, but that's the reason why. So that's kind of how I balance it all. It's really more so about, one, protecting myself and really taking care of myself. Second is personal life. There's only 3 agenda items a day. And if I don't make all three, that's fine. I delegate to have
Hello.
in my personal life,
Mhm.
have cleaning lady. Anybody who's out here, get
Get
you
a
a
cleaning
cleaning
lady.
person. Make it a priority.
Let me tell you something. I'm gonna go off on a tangent real quick. So my ex, I used to have I had a cleaning lady. I had all the services. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And he used to judge me like, oh, you don't do your own laundry? Oh, you don't do this. And I'm like, I am a woman. You see how the hours I work. I travel for work all the time. At
Yes.
one point, the year before the
This
pandemic, I was on a plane every month to the
is
country,
what I'm saying.
right? And so I was like, why am I being defined by that? And so I remember I stopped. I like because I felt so judged by having these systems that obviously worked for me. You know what happened after that? My house was a mess. I stopped
Man,
cooking. Like I was like ordering out because cooking meant I had to clean the kitchen. Like I had to do all these things.
yes,
And I really
yes.
didn't have time for it. Then I stopped going to the gym because now I'm in my house doing all this domestic shit that I'm
Because
not.
you're spending 3 hours doing things
Hello.
that you shouldn't be doing.
Completely threw me off of my thing. And
Yeah.
that was a few years ago. I'm just now getting
Mm-hmm.
back to that, to like who I was and what I knew worked for me because, anyway, I clown with that. We ain't gonna do that.
No, I mean, I've been there too, right? Where people make you feel bad about it. And you're like, wait, actually, there is a better use of my time.
Hey, the girl.
So yeah, so that's what I do in my personal life. And then at work, it's more so like, this is the thing that pays the bills. So we're gonna make sure that we keep it open and moving. And then the week that we can't, we won't. And that's just where we are.
Yeah.
So I hope that answered the question.
It does. And I think it gives a good example of setting boundaries and create systems that work for you because this is the truth. We are making this shit up as we go. There is no outside of like human laws of not killing, stealing, and that kind of foolishness. You make this up as you go, and what works for you is what works. That is the rule.
Hey,
Until
and light got hands. Light
listen,
got hands.
you got to be able to bob,
Stop
weave, pivot.
taking L's every day, B. I'll be like, nah, not today, please.
Listen, no, so you completely got it. We're gonna move into community impact. So getting into your life beyond the boardroom. You've been involved in some community initiatives. How do you find time to give back? And why is community involvement important to you?
So I'm gonna start backwards. It's super important to me because I'm a public school kid. I'm an immigrant. I am raised by immigrants. I'm raised by some really hardworking people. And in addition to that, like it's a staple. Like that was something that my father ingrained in all of us, which was you are nothing if you are not a part of the collective making everything better. So one of the things I tout myself on is, I mean, if anyone follows me on Instagram, and sorry, I'm private, everybody, but I'm gonna get this
Okay.
together. Um,
I will be sure to post her info as soon as she becomes public.
I will. But I tout myself on always promoting people around me because referrals are free. good promo is free, sharing something is free, sharing information. So that's why it has become an integral part of like my day-to-day. And then secondly, I believe that communities raise adults.
Yes.
And I'm nothing without my community. Like I would have never met you, Sheree, without my community, right? So I think that that's the part. Making time for it, I think it's important. And honestly, I stay within my realm and I stay within my expertise. So again, this is something that took a couple of years to build in, but like before I made it to my first board, I volunteered in the ways I knew how to volunteer, which was helping Black and Brown college students. And I say Black and Brown because I mean that,
Mhm.
in financial services. I
Yeah.
would meet with people and then say, no, do this better. Come back. Like I'll be at the super day, making sure to interview them so that when they did something wrong, I'll be like, okay, we're gonna pretend this didn't happen. You're gonna sign up for this slot tomorrow with me and you're gonna come back. And that's kind of how it started. Like I really stay in my lane, in my zone, and remember the things that I'm passionate about. And I want to be clear about passion because I think people
Mhm.
confuse it. You can really like something. Like really like something. Like you could love watching the NBA, but if you don't want to give whatever free time you have to it, that is not passion. That is a deep like.
Yeah.
And I just have to be clear because I think people are like, this is my passion project, but they don't really
They
define
don't.
it properly.
Yeah.
So I say, when I say passionate, it's the things I'm passionate about. So I'm passionate about scholarship. I'm passionate about education. I'm passionate about awareness and opportunity builds and closing gaps and all those things. And what my lane is financial services, where I have access and can provide access, and nepotism is financial services. So like those are the things, but I do really want to impress upon people like knowing your boundaries on community service. Because I think people like I'll
Yeah.
volunteer at the soup kitchen. That's great. That's awesome. Do that. But to say you're committing to that full force, that requires a certain level of I cannot not do this. And
Yeah.
I think that's the difference. So that's
Mhm.
how I balance it. I stay very much in my lane.
Well, and I think that's important too because when you stand on your why, right, you know what your why is. And so it brings you back. It always brings you back to the community. You know what I mean? And I, this is something I learned as I got older, is that all of the we're in an ecosystem. So no matter how big or small, if you're contributing to it and you're in your zone of genius, you know, not stepping outside of that is not a terrible thing because you are doing the most good with what you have. This is where you've spent your 10,000 hours, so to speak. This is where
Exactly.
you're going to be the most impactful. And so I think that's a great ethos to have. We're going to lean into your self-care and hobby.
Sheree likes me.
So you mentioned how you prioritize your timing in terms of how you create time and carve out time for yourself. Are there specific activities that help you recharge and maintain focus within your, 3 a.m. to whatever time you close your eyes at night?
Well, yeah. So I think so. How many? What's the limit, Sheree? What's the
Girl,
limit of things I can
there's no
talk
limit.
to?
You
Okay.
keep asking me. Okay, so
I'm
let me
like, what's the
pause real
limit,
quick.
Sheree? What's the
Girls with
limit?
her
Okay.
family. This woman keeps. She was like, "What tone do I need to use? What? There are no rules here, right? Crows in the
On
Hood
the
is not about
rules
me. It's about you."
of
And
that.
so, if you found us, which we're in the same community. Our communities intersect. Then this is where you're meant to be, as you are. So there, girl, go, be
You
free,
go
friend.
off into the
Be
ether.
free.
Okay. Well, no. So well, to start, I think my Ooh, self-care is so loaded. I think that's like the most, but I'll say this. Here's what contributes to my peace and mental stability, and how I like the things I do. So one is fitness. I've always been a fitness person. I used to teach fitness classes. I power lift now. I was a cardio person, like I taught spin, the whole thing. But fitness has always been the cornerstone because I am a very routine human. Like I am very much like I want my body to feel good. I
Yeah.
want to move really well. I've had a host of health issues in the past. And so I never want to get back to that place. And so for me, fitness has always been not just like a physical safe space, but a mental safe space, because that is the hour or 2 hours that I have to only focus on myself.
Yeah.
And then even before kids, before husbands, like that was always my time. People knew. And that's kind of how it happened in the morning.
Okay.
People wouldn't be up. So no one can bother. No one's texting me
Yeah.
when I'm on my way to the gym at 4:45,
And
right?
when you're morning workouts, for anybody that is on a journey or starting a journey that doesn't already have a routine, I always used to tell myself in the morning, it's me versus me getting to the gym. When you
Yes.
have those after work plans, once the day starts happening to you, it's not you versus you. The elements start to take place.
It's you're right.
Something went over at work, somebody called. Now now you're aggravated or you don't want to go. Like in the morning, it's just if you can get out of your bed and out your door, you're gonna make it to the gym.
No, perfect. Yes. Yes. Yes.
No?
So I would say fitness. The second thing, which I know is loaded and I hate to say it, but it's been therapy. I,
Amazing.
I, well, I say it's loaded because I think in the pandemic, a lot of people found mental health,
Mhm.
practitioners, and I love that. But that's why I say I want to caveat with saying therapy is a tool,
Yeah.
not for me, it's a tool. It's not a way of life. So it is a tool where it allows me to stay very present. It allows me to acknowledge what emotion I'm feeling at the moment, and it allows me to try to find the root of it. So that is very much, and especially because I feel like I live in a very dual space. Like I'm in this
Mhm.
very white, male dominated world where there's, the occasional microaggression, there's the
Yeah.
occasional like, oh, you're a woman energy, right? And then I'm on this other side where there are people in my community that look at me like, yo, you made it, like you're it, right? Per my article, like, oh, what could you even be
Like upset
complaining
about
about?
why or complaining or what are you still trying to achieve? Good
Right. Or
try.
like you have the husband, you have the kids, like what's the problem? Right. So I think those things, so therapy has been very, very instrumental the last decade. And I've been in it on and off. And then the
Mhm.
last thing I would say is making sure that I make space to talk to people. And I am a serious phone girl. Like I will get on the phone with somebody, and this is a testament, and I know sure you can attest to this, to traveling for work for 20 years. Right? When you're always in an airport or in a car or in a train or whatever, usually there are those moments where you just want to get on the phone with somebody who knows you while you're in the transitions.
Right.
And so talking to people and specifically talking to my girlfriends has become a very, very important integral part of my self-care. Because one, you should never be the smartest person in the room, meaning you should always have a different perspective coming your way, right? And sometimes getting perspective means listening to your friend vent about some dude she's talking to that's stupid, or hearing about somebody going through something at work and you could be like, dang, that happened to me too. Let me tell you what I did, like that. So that has become a huge part. And I have spent the better part of 15 years making sure that I always make friends, specifically women, specifically Black women, um, to be a part of my community, like a part of my friend group. And as we know, like things change, people get married, they move,
Right.
etc. But it's always been a very important part of me to meet new people and make sure that I am forming some kind of bond where I feel comfortable and safe and intimately safe, meaning I trust you with information. So those three things have really been the catalyst to like what you're seeing in front of you.
Listen, and it's as I'm listening to you speak, I was thinking because you know how I feel like sometimes the women, women are split between the girls, right, and the girls that like don't have friends, can't have friends, refuse to make friends, and it's so interesting to me because I think when you prioritize friendships and connecting with other women, it becomes easier. And and people are like, oh, I can never have that many friends, or I can never have that many people that I consider community. But it's like the more you make them, the easier it is to like meet quality women. And when you avoid it, or you know what I mean? Like it's a weird like conundrum I feel like people find themselves in, because the more
Yes,
that I center women, the better women I find.
exactly. And I also want to demystify the idea that you can't segment friends. Like
That.
I am a firm believer in some relationships that I have are only me and that person.
Mhm.
And it's not because they are terrible people or they can't be around other people, but our relationship is where it is. Like I'm friends with a wonderful chef. Her name is Julia Tershin. She's like famous. We met at a powerlifting meet and have become friends. Now, is Julia amazing? Absolutely. Do we have a lot in common? Absolutely. We met talking about braising pots. Okay. So I say that to say, but do I think that Julia should be integrated in every friend group I have? Could she? Absolutely. But do I think that's right? No.
Yeah.
Because who's to say that that's the right environment? Or they're always going to be? So I like to demystify, especially for my younger women mentee friends. Like it's okay to have a friend over here and a friend over here, and they never meet. It's okay. They can meet at the baby shower or whatever.
Right. Right.
Like it's fine. Like it's okay. So I say that because I love what you said about if you keep centering that as an idea, you will continue to find a better crop of people that will sharpen your iron. I'm a firm believer that iron sharpens iron every day.
100%.
That's where I'm at with it.
Okay. So moving into mentorships. So we mentioned this has come up twice now.
I know.
And
I
we
know.
know mentorship is a two-way street. Can you share experiences of mentorship that have been instrumental in your career? And knowing that you actively mentor others, how do you inspire them to navigate a similar path to yours? If that is, what you do at all.
Oh yeah, I do. I mean, yeah.
They're
Yeah, it's
like, I'm popping, be like me.
no,
Do,
not like that,
do
but
more
like,
what
yeah,
I did.
it's a thing. Well, I've had a series of really fantastic mentors in my life. And I say that because a mentor to me is not just somebody at work or somebody in my, like, it's someone who I feel like can span. So I think I have to define it because I've only had five in my whole life that I think span both sides of the spectrum and how they have influence and or move my life in a positive direction, career, personal wise, are two things. One, by continuously connecting me with people that they know will be able to embark knowledge, wisdom, and access. That's number one. Number two has been just the sage connection I feel to them. And so again, I'm not gonna say we're like bosom buddies, but more so the connection of like, I know you know what I'm saying, and I don't have to give you more than this because I'm calling you because I need you. I'm emailing you because I need you. And so those things that like they've impacted me in many ways. Like one of my mentors is a Black man. He's in his like mid-50s. And I called him when I was like, hey, I'm thinking about having a baby. I think I'm having a baby. How do I tell work? And
Mm,
he was like, this is how you tell work. This is how I want people to tell me. And I'm like, great. And then I have a white man that everybody should have in their camp.
you always need one. You always need one.
I got two, but you always need one in
You
your camp.
always need one.
He's been instrumental in making sure that I'm in the right rooms. He's more of a sponsor and I call him my
Yeah.
pusher. He'll call me and be like, there's a room you have to be in next week. Make time. And will forward me the invite and be like, come here. And then by the time I walk in the room, the right people already know who I am. So from the time they see my badge on, they're like, oh, such and such told us about you. Tell us more about what you're doing in these spaces. Right. And this has been for 10 years. So those are the kinds of relationships I have maintained and continue to grow and build and foster. So let me just be clear. My mentors water me and I do the same thing back. So for instance, where people say it's nepotism when someone calls and is like, I have this person, I want them in, my mentors will literally call and be like, hey, I'm sending somebody to you. I want you to talk to them, but they applied for this. And I'll be like, say no more.
Listen, and can I add to you because I'm gonna share how I kind of leaned on you as a mentor when I got
Yeah.
promoted to VP, and I was
Which
like,
that
what is happening to my life, right?
city boys up.
And I called you, and me and Annie, we're like, our friendship is fairly new, right? But
Yes.
I was like, I don't have any Black women because
I was like, what's up?
even
What you
defining
doing?
myself as a Black woman, sometimes I'm still like in my Black girl phase, right? Because I see my mom,
Girl, it's
you know.
weird. It's
And so
weird.
I'm like, I don't know any other Black girls that have done what I'm doing. And then
Yep.
I was like, Annie and Lacey, Brooklyn Book Bell was like, I was
Yep.
I literally hit her up and I was like, you think I could call Annie about this? Because I am now going to be like on the executive leadership team. And
Yes.
what do I like? What do I do? Like, what is my
Yep.
legacy going? And we had a really fruitful conversation. And so, for folks watching this, don't feel like mentors are only people above your station.
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes you have to look to the left or the right of you. Sometimes, you know what I mean. Like, you can find it anywhere, but you have to cultivate and nurture those relationships. Because when I first started to become a director, a senior manager, director, and what have you, I couldn't recognize when people were trying to mentor me because I had been unmentored my whole career. I've gone
Right.
10 plus years without anybody paying me any mind. Right. And then I finally got into a position where I worked for a woman of color that worked for a woman of color that I worked for. And
Yes.
they saw me and then
They started leaning in like, hey, what do you think about this? Or
I didn't
maybe
understand that was
approach
happening. I was
it
like, oh,
differently.
she gonna pay me what I'm supposed to get paid. I'm getting
Yes.
promoted and I'm getting
Yes.
promoted again.
Yes.
And she just right sized my career. This woman, Mary Wong, like she saw me and she was like,
Yes.
"You're the smartest woman. You're the smartest person in every room that we go to. Every meeting, you're the only person that knows what's going on. This ain't even your department." And by the time I left out the
Period.
way, I
Oh,
had
period.
I was making the money I was supposed to make with the title I was supposed to have, right? But I did not really understand how to maintain that relationship because when I felt so invisible up until that point. I didn't, it's a skill I didn't have.
Yes.
And so now I can say 6 to 7 years later, like I understand it more. I've recognized the signs more,
Yes.
but it is something when you are a Black and a woman or Black and a man, I mean, you can go through your career being ignored essentially
Totally.
and looked over. And so don't be afraid to reach out for that mentorship if it's not being provided from you. And it doesn't have to be in your organization. It
At
probably
all.
won't be
And
in the
don't be
beginning.
afraid to just reach out.
Yeah.
Do not be afraid. Like I tell people, go if there's someone that you see and you want to talk to them, get to them, right? Like there's the educated Black crowd is so 6 degrees of separation that it's
Right.
so just get to them, get on LinkedIn, send a message, like keep being thoughtful, keep following up. Don't just engage once, keep trying. It's like a thing. Like that is how people know if you're going to waste their time or you really want to be a part of what they're trying to give or you want to receive it. And so on the mentoring side, I have like 4 active mentees right now. And I'll say this, my method of mentorship is validation and making you take up space. That's it. That is it. That is it. That is my ethos because I find that especially around Black women, young Black women in these very big spaces, and it doesn't just have to be Wall Street,
Hmm.
they get very small. And
Yes.
I'm like, no, that's not how this works. To become promoted, you got to make friends. And
Yeah.
not only do you have
And
to make friends, but people have to know what you're doing. Take up space.
take up space. You have to be your own party promoter in these offices.
And
You
it's hard, right? It's hard to find that elevator pitch that you continuously want to provide, right? And so I do that in a way of asking a lot of questions. So if you were to meet with me, Sheree, and you were to say, I'm really having a hard time with my manager. I don't know what's going on. My first thing is to say, like, okay, so explain to me what happened. And then we'll talk through some scenario. And then from that conversation, I'm going to ask, so what did you do after? What's the follow-up? How did we get there? And like when I ask the who, what, when, where, how questions, you start to see people come out of their shell, right? Because you're validating that their story, that their version of the conversation is valid. And so that is really, because Gen Z is different. Gen Z is very different from millennials. Millennials were mentored by boomers who will like work hard,
Right.
right? And like
And just be happy to be
Gen
here. This is an
Xers that were
opportunity.
like, leave me alone, right? Gen Xers was like, nah, I'm good. I'm trying to pay these bills over here, buy a house. Like, so I think that's where I stand on business, as the kids would say. But then also I think not I think in my mentorship style as well, I will reach out to people that I want to mentor or that I just want to know more about. And I think that's the part I'm going to encourage women of our level, stature, and experience to continue to try to do, right? Everyone doesn't want to receive the message, but I'll tell you this, everybody wants a friend.
Yeah.
And when they want a friend and they recognize that you bring a little bit of wisdom and a little bit more experience, they start leaning on you differently. And I think that that's the part that, and I meet them with empathy. And I think that that's the difference. So in my mentorship style, it's really about like, take up space and I'm going to validate you 100% of the time. Am I going to yank your chain? Absolutely. Am I going to tell you what you're doing wrong? For sure. But am I going to make sure that you walk away with a solution or at least some semblance of a straw man of a framework? Absolutely. Because that's the thing that I didn't really get until I recognized what watering that is. And then also, the last thing is no one wants to feel like they're taking all the time.
Yeah.
So this is a message for the people who mentor, right? You have to ask for things. So like one of my mentees, she's 25, she is hip, outside, hot and ready to go. I'd be like, girl, so
She's a
where
city girl.
y'all go on a Saturday? Where the bars over here? I gotta take somebody. So where the bars over here? I don't know what happened since COVID, right? And they're so thankful to give it to you. They're so thankful to offer you advice. They're so thankful. And so I think that, and that in turn validates their expertise that they're building, right? When you say like, thank you for giving me that suggestion, or thank you for giving me
Yeah.
space to express myself. So but mentorship has been the, like, no joke, like my career is nothing without the people
Yeah.
that accumulated. And my friend Danielle calls me a people hoarder. She's like, yo, you people. And I'm like, I know it's a problem, but I like it. I'm not leaving it.
Well, you know what, too, because I want to go back to what we said earlier in the call, like when you mentioned sponsors and like, soft skills and making friends at work. And it's not, when I say make friends at work, I'm not talking about the kind that you tell all your business to and what have you. You need a friend that's going to say your name and make sure you get the credit you deserve in rooms that you're not. I think of my time at Coach, my homegirl Brenda and we were like Scottie Pippen and Michael Jordan. When she was if I was in a meeting that she wasn't in because we were two different we worked on in the same department but two different teams, and I'd say, oh well, Brenda, that was Brenda's idea, or Brenda had an idea to do this, or and vice versa. She'd come back from meetings like, Sheree, I told them such and such happened, and I think that you could work this out because you did it already with this other mill that we're working with or what have you, and so that's where it's like that interpretation of understanding what friendship in the workplace means and what it can ultimately fit. Yes. Okay. Future aspirations. So beyond the corporate ladder. Beyond the corporate ladder, what are you looking forward to in the next chapter of your life? And are there specific goals or dreams that you are eager to pursue as you continue to evolve both personally and professionally? That was a lot.
Easy. That's a good question though, because you want to know what's funny? I've been writing about this. So, well, more so journaling about it. So there, professionally, I won't speak on it openly right now, but I'm working on some different things that will catapult me to a place. So I'm a capitalist, y'all. Like let me be clear.
Whether we want to be.
Yo, what I'm the truest of the true, right? I'm like, I have a number. I've always had a number. It's taped up in my office. It's taped up in the bathroom. It's taped up in my, it's a manifestation of me buying my freedom. And I'm getting close to my number. That's all I'm going to say. So I think professionally, I really want to move to a space where I have a lot more ownership. And I can see that happening for me. And whether it happens at this bank, another bank, or another just financial services company, I see it for me. So that that is an immediate goal. I think it's going to happen. Not I think I know it's going to happen. I'm just, this is God's timing now. I've already put in all the work. The other thing I would say I'm really leaning towards is slowing down a little bit. I think that, and slowing down doesn't mean removing a lot. I think it means really, really resting on the fact that I've done all the work, right? Like it's time to do less. It's time to just be a presence in the room. And I think whether that's personally or professionally, I really want to flex that muscle. Like I think I talk to a number of very senior Black women. I'm in a Black support group on Wall Street, we call ourselves. And literally, they tell me all the time, like, why are you wasting your time building things? Why are you answering emails? Like, they should just be happy you're there. And I'm like, actually, you're right.
Points are being made. Tell me more.
I'm 23. I didn't just get here. Like, these gray hairs is not on accident. So so that's that. I think I want to kind of move into a slowing down mode and really being able to choose where I should be and where versus where I think I need to be. And then lastly, one of the passions in my life is really about helping Black people kind of figure out the alternative routes of success. And I think there's still not enough representation in the spaces I'm in, right? Like I'm one of one in most rooms. So this is gonna sound funny. I really want to write. I really want to write. I really want to write more. I know, here I am, right? I really want to write more. I really want, and with outside of Curls in the Hood, because I love Curls in the Hood. Like I've been a stan actually since day one. I'm like, how much do I have to pay? Like that. But more so to helping Black people find these alternative ways of being successful. I think that we highlight the law, doctors, like we give so much prestige to these other, and don't get me wrong, they deserve it.
Right,
But there are other ways that you can be somewhere and make money and find your lane. So I think those are ownership, which I see coming professionally, slowing down, just making sure my expertise is worth it for certain spaces. And then lastly, like writing more and giving more exposure to the things that I think people need to see so they can start redefining what success looks like.
I love that. Okay, so now last question. Looking back on your career so far, what are you most proud of?
Dang, Sheree. Okay.
That's a big one, right? It's a big.
It's a loaded question. I don't know.
It can be more than
I
one.
would no, it could be more than one. I would say it has getting promoted to executive director. I think that has been the proudest moment, one of the proudest moments of my career. So just to give you all some scope, executive directors are one step away from partner. It's literally a 5-year gap to partner. And partner, also as managing director, you own peace. You have equity in the company, which means you are now not just an executor of business, you are now a part of the thread. And to give you all some scope, there have only been 147 Black managing directors at the firm I'm at. So that was a huge deal. And it was a huge deal for me, not just because of the scope of what was next, but because of what I did to get to that seat, which was hire 135 Black people globally into client-facing seats and really giving people the opportunity to do something that they could have never done if not for what I had done. And so that has been, I think this moment has been that moment, but also since that moment has been like a dream. It has been, because it's everything I care about. It is making sure we get Black people into these spaces, exposing people to different things, making a platform for people to have voices and get promoted and make what they should make and
Right.
say their names in rooms and be just like a forefront. So that has been like a very, very proud moment for me. Yeah, I would have to say that for a fact.
That is a huge, that is not small by no means. That is a huge achievement. So kudos to you, girl, friend, right? Okay, so that was our last question of the day, of the night. Annie will be in the April issue.
Woo!
I will share the title is sometimes in April. I'm not going to tell you guys what all that encompasses because you got
I
to
don't even know what I'm putting
subscribe
on yet, but
and
I'm
you
so
got to read
excited.
it. And she has a double assignment. I booked her
Ooh,
for
I'm
two
like
things
so
for
excited.
April. But yes, so if you want to follow her, well, I know you mentioned that your Instagram is private, but she is growing a
Yes,
TikTok platform, Privileged Mommy, I
yes.
at the end, not Y.
Thank
And I'll put that in the description bar of this video. And so, yeah, thank you so much, Annie. That was painless, aside
you.
from my neighbor furiously knocking at my door.
No, it was so perfect. Thank you for having me. Thank you for making this space. This is a very safe space for Black women. I think we don't have enough of these. I don't think we have enough places of expression and understanding and being over 30 and like having, just different life experiences. So I'm so thankful for you and so thankful for you inviting me to write and contribute in any way. So thank you, actually.
Girl, this does not exist without people like you, right? When I first started Curls in the Hood, one of my girlfriends was like, "You're not, like public facing enough. You're not, you're not doing Get Ready with Me's," and I'm like, "Because Curls in the Hood is not about me. It's about you, right?" So while this was like my dream and this is something that was in me that had to come out thanks to the artist way. Okay, let me tell you
Hey,
how.
fat shout out to that.
That shout out to the art. I stopped drinking and I was doing the artist way at the same time. And 60
That was
days
amazing.
later, the first real newsletter of Curls in the Hood dropped. Like,
That's amazing.
you know what I mean? And
Love
so
the Girls in the Hood story. It's my favorite thing
it
ever.
is literally, it's the woo-woo version of fasting and prayer, essentially.
Yes.
And so
Prayer closet girl.
right, right. And so I think, yeah, I think that, I am very much passionate about intergenerational community. And I've been joking recently. I'm like, we would not have a 50-part series if there was someone 25 in her ear and somebody 55 in her ear.
Thank,
Right? You
thank
know? And so like you can't tell everybody everything, but you got to tell some people some things. And collectively we can see through the shenanigans, right?
you for a fact.
And
Thank you for
so,
that.
and that Girls in the Hood is just like, I want it to be whimsical. I want it to be fun. I want it to be beautiful. I think
Yes.
we have enough things that are utilitarian. I want her to be pretty and light. And we're gonna get to it when we need to get to it, but I want it always to be a space where like that Sunflower Jones is gonna tell you some egregious mess about your sex life that you did or did not want to
Which
know.
I'm learning so much. I'm so excited.
Listen, right? Or that Brooklyn Book Bell is gonna have, a
Excellent book
reading list that is
recommendation
gonna
and
like
the
remind you
revelation of
that
life.
right, love
Yep.
still exists. Or my crotchety ass is gonna be telling you why I'm mad at the fashion girls on the cover. And or if you don't find yourself in any of it, the playlist is gonna be like neo soul or coochie raps or you know 70s soul music or house music,
Hey,
like you're gonna find yourself in here somewhere. And so that's just the goal for it. But
I love it. I love it. It's a safe space. It's somewhere I can tell you from the first issue, and I won't gush too long because I know this video is getting long. From the first issue, it was one of those. So I am a true, when she says avid reader, I read everything. I read 5 newspapers a day, 1 in French. I read books on books on books. I read articles, white papers. Like I'm an ingester of information. And so this was the first publication since the Michelle Obama issue of Essence in 2008 that I was like, oh, I can actually sit back and read this. And I think that that is an art that is lost in storytelling right now, right? And so I'll say that to say that, like, every woman over the age of 35 that I have passed curls in the hood to has been like, thank you. This is like very nice and fun and serious. And I didn't get through this whole thing yet, but like I'm saving it, I'm bookmarking it. Right.
You can
I said
always,
it's once a month. Just
and
when you feel like it.
right, it's like it's here for you when you need it. And and it's like not every article is like a how to fix you a fixer upper. Apollo Jones is writing short stories. This
Right.
man is like, I'm so stressed about my article. I'm like, sir, you've written 2 short stories.
Right.
These are not articles about anything. These are short stories.
I have to say something. I have to read something that a friend of mine. So I sent around because I'm a blaster of sorts. And I sent around my article, and my friend Tensei, I didn't even send it to her. What she came back to me was this, and I wanted to say this on this specific episode. She goes, in all seriousness, this is definitely a selfish request, but I need you to keep writing. I just finished your article, and I kid you not, it's the article that I've been asking God and the universe for. Lately, I've been really struggling with trying to find myself and purpose in life again because life and work. She's an anesthesiologist who went to Georgetown, okay, med school. Thank you for my answer. I spent my time doing the labor, showing up for myself again. I love this. I love this magazine. I love everything it represents. I feel very safe. So I say that to say, if this woman who lives in Houston, who I went to college with, like randomly found it on my Instagram and was like, this is the thing I've been looking for. Like you're touching something big, because I feel like these women don't even know how much they need something until they get it. So I just had to put that out there because it's bigger than like just a space for Black women to find themselves. It is also a space where people are actually actively healing, and that's lit.
That is, and I would like to think, a year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, in whatever form Curls in the Hood grows to be, that this exists because I had to make a space that I didn't see myself in, right? Like I just had to make it. And even though I've been a fashion girly my whole career, I did not see myself in those.
And Sheree know her fashion stuff, y'all. Don't play. Don't
Like
play.
even though I've been a behind the scenes fashion girly for many, many, many years, I didn't see myself in some of these spaces, right? And so, and they weren't talking about the things I cared about. And for me, because I was on the product development team, I was picking the fabrics and doing all those things. It's like, I don't care about the styling. Like, you can't style it if I didn't pick the fabric, right? I am at the front of the front line. We are the
literally.
So by the time it gets to the magazines, I'm done. I've moved on. I'm 2 years. I'm already
Like, yeah, I did all the
next year.
denim. I'm good.
Right. You know what I mean? So this allows, it just kind of like allows everything to coexist together. But this we did what happens on every Curls in the Hood call. We just kind of went on our own thing, which is
I'm sorry. Okay, bye everybody. This is amazing.
But yes, so this episode will be up this Friday, 9 p.m. I think it's March 9th, 8th, March 9th.
Yes.
I
Eight.
don't look at
Eight.
a
Okay.
I'm like, I'll look at a calendar later. What is time? Okay. But thank you so much, Annie. And I'm gonna let you get your beauty sleep, eat something, pour your little, a finger of whiskey, and start working on April articles because your deadline is your deadline. It's your deadline.
It's very much on the Okay, yes. Bye, Sheree. Bye.